Okay, let's dive into this. Just imagine it. The most cinematic, vibrant spectacle on Earth. Nations literally colliding on a brilliant emerald green pitch and legends being forged right in front of roaring crowds. Welcome to our explainer on the epic, and I mean absolutely epic, almost 100-year history of the FIFA World Cup. We're going to explore a story of ultimate triumph, futuristic tactical genius, and honestly, some unbelievable drama. To truly wrap your head around the sheer, overwhelming scale of this tournament, just think about this number for a second. 5 billion. During the last tournament, over 5 billion people tuned in to watch. Guys, that is more than 60% of the entire human population, all sharing the exact same sporting experience at the exact same time. It proves without a doubt that this is the absolute greatest sporting event on the planet. So, to make sense of a whole century of history, we've structured this explainer into 5 distinct eras. We'll start with the birth of the World Cup, look at the rise of global legends, move into brilliance, drama, and controversy, explore the icons of the modern age, and finally, new kings and the future. Starting us off, Era 1, birth of the World Cup. If we travel all the way back to the early 20th century, we can see how a simple Olympic event evolved into this massive global ambition. Back in 1914, FIFA simply recognized the Olympic winner as the world champion. Pretty straightforward, right? But by 1928, FIFA president Jules Rimet had this golden idea. He wanted an entirely separate international tournament. And just 2 years later, in 1930, the very first World Cup kicked off in Uruguay. But man, getting there was no joke. European teams literally had to take grueling, weeks-long journeys by ship across the Atlantic Ocean. Because of that massive hurdle, only 13 nations made it to the kickoff, and the hosts, Uruguay, they were crowned the very first champions. Moving right along to Era 2, the rise of global legends. Following a 12-year pause because of World War II, the tournament returned, and honestly, it came back with a vengeance. The game transformed into this massive televised spectacle, giving birth to almost mythological heroes. The passion in this post-war era was absolutely electric. Get this, an astonishing 173,000 spectators packed into the Maracanã Stadium for the 1950 final. To this day, that remains the most viewed World Cup final in stadium history. And you know what those 173,000 fans witnessed? Pure heartbreak, as Uruguay completely shocked the heavily favored hosts, Brazil. This era also delivered some stats that frankly feel like anime-level power scaling. Take the 1954 match between Austria and Switzerland that ended 7-5. That is still the highest scoring match ever. But even more incredible is French striker Just Fontaine in 1958. He scored 13 goals in a single tournament. That means he averaged more than 2 goals a game. It's an unbroken record that is practically superhuman. Oh, and that same 1958 tournament? It introduced the world to a 17-year-old Brazilian prodigy named Pelé, who would go on to win 3 World Cups. But it wasn't just individual brilliance that was evolving. The actual strategy of the game was transforming into the future. Enter total football. And this brilliantly illustrates how in the 1970s, Johan Cruyff's Dutch side completely revolutionized the pitch. Imagine a fluid, dynamic team where any outfield player could instantly swap roles with another. It turned football into this high-speed game of physical chess, and it forever changed how teams moved, passed, and defended together. Which brings us to Era 3, brilliance, drama, and controversy. As we move into the 1980s and 90s, the stakes get significantly higher, and the stories, well, they get a lot wilder. No player embodies this era's extremes quite like Argentina's Diego Maradona. In the exact same 1986 quarterfinal against England, he gave us 2 perfectly contrasting, defining moments. First, you have the infamous Hand of God goal, a clear, unpunished handball that the referee completely missed. But then, literally just minutes later, he delivers the goal of the century. It's this legendary solo run, dribbling half the pitch, weaving past 5 English players. It's the perfect snapshot of rule-bending cunning and undeniable raw genius coexisting on the exact same grass. Then we have moments that feel like a suspenseful plot twist straight out of a movie. Picture this. During a crucial 1990 qualifying match, a flare is thrown near Chilean goalkeeper Roberto Rojas. Taking advantage of the smoke, Rojas deliberately cuts himself with a blade he had hidden in his glove. The plan was to frame the opposing Brazilian fans for disqualification, but a sharp-eyed photographer actually captures the entire setup on camera. Rojas is caught red-handed and banned for life. Unbelievable drama. However, not all drama ends on the pitch. The 1994 World Cup carried a profound and serious tragedy. Colombian captain Andrés Escobar accidentally scored an own goal against the USA, knocking his highly rated team out of the tournament. Tragically, upon returning home to a country that was heavily influenced by cartels at the time, Escobar was shot and killed. It remains a very dark, somber day in football history, and it really reminds us of the intense, sometimes perilous weight placed on these athletes. Let's move into Era 4, Icons of the Modern Age. As the tournament expanded to 32 teams and broadcasts started reaching literally every corner of the globe, players became undisputed icons. And I gotta say, no modern icon had a more chaotic finale than France's Zinedine Zidane in 2006. On the biggest stage imaginable, the World Cup final, he scores this phenomenally arrogant Panenka penalty right off the crossbar. But then, in extra time, he headbutts Italy's Marco Materazzi in the chest. He receives a red card and has to walk right past the trophy in defeat. Yet somehow, he still wins Player of the Tournament. It's the absolute peak of a legendary career ending in a fiery, totally unpredictable explosion. 8 years later, the 2014 tournament in Brazil delivered utter devastation to the host nation. Imagine being the absolute favorites, playing in your own home country and getting completely demolished 7-1 by Germany in the semifinal. It is still one of the most shocking, lopsided scorelines in the sport's history. And to add salt to the wound, Germany's Miroslav Klose scored in that exact game to break the all-time tournament scoring record with his 16th goal. Let's move to and see how this builds into Era 5, New Kings, and the future. The 2022 World Cup climaxed with what many people consider the greatest final ever played. On one side, you have Lionel Messi finally achieving ultimate glory, lifting the trophy and effectively completing his mythical career. On the other side, France's Kylian Mbappé scores a mesmerizing hat trick in a losing effort, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is the relentless, dynamic heir to the throne. It was the perfect, cinematic passing of the torch. So, the crucial point is, what happens next? Well, the 2026 World Cup, hosted across North America, is undergoing a massive expansion. We are jumping from the current 32 teams to 48 teams. That's 16 entirely new additions entering the arena. This means more underdogs, more tactical clashes, and exponentially more high-stakes drama for fans all across the globe. Which brings us to the ultimate question. With 48 teams entering this epic arena in 2026, who will claim the future of the beautiful game? Will it be a legacy powerhouse relying on legendary teamwork, or will a totally new nation rise up with teenage prodigies to shock the world? This 100-year saga is far from over. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the magic of the pitch.